This is Lions on Tap, a weekly look inside the Lions' Den, presented by Coors Light, the chilled choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Highlights, interviews, and a look ahead to this week's game. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and the voice of your BC Lions, Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
Welcome to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW. Coming to you tonight from the Bard and Banker in Victoria. You heard the man. It's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media and content team. The Bard and Banker, what a place this is. Big shout out to Spencer Buck and his crew. With a rich history and arguably the most beautiful room in Victoria, the Bard offers the very best in food, drink, and music. And a big shout out to Brent Doby. He's an OG Molson guy. OG Molson Coors guy here in Victoria. He set all of this up, and what a night it is with all the BC Lions fans. We've got some of the personnel and staffers here. And Matt and Nick, I'm telling you, this has been a lot of fun thus far, and hopefully it ends with a W come Saturday. But up to now, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, we've been excited about this. Pretty much Nick and I were among a group over here in late November, right after our last season end, announcing Touchdown Pacific. But it really hits you when you get here. Like, we took that short 15-minute flight via WestJet on Wednesday, I guess it was, and you're on the ground, you're driving to the hotel on the bus, and it's like, it's here, let's go, and it's been awesome.
Well, I'll be honest, and I said this earlier today. Actually, I told this to Jeff King on Check News tonight. I said, when this first got announced, I was like, it's another road game. This is going to be like a distraction. We're out of our routine. But I'll tell you, just the fan engagement, the hospitality of the people of Victoria, I'm like, let's do this again next year, right? So it's been a blast thus far, and hopefully it culminates, like I said, with a win against the Ottawa Redblacks. But it's amazing with the festival down in the harbor, the open practice today, the lunch with the players at White Spot. I mean, tonight some of the players were down at the festival, obviously signing autographs. We have this event here tonight at the Bard and Banker. Man, it's been a lot of fun this far.
Yeah, and practice was awesome. We advertised that open practice. You had to register, and the spots went like that. And seeing some familiar faces, some new faces, this community, this city, all of Vancouver Island really, I think, is excited for BC Lions football. And our president, Dwayne Vanneau, has said over and over, mini Grey Cup week. And at that festival, Nick, you were down there too. It's held true thus far.
You've got a lot of content, I'm thinking, for this.
I was going to say, it's not even just about the Lions. Like, the Grey Cup festival's here. The Grey Cup is literally in front of us right now. I was in Esquimalt today at a Navy and Armed Forces flag football game. Randy Ambrosi was officiating it. It was a blast. They were taking it very seriously. So, there's no shortage of events around here, and it's awesome.
Well, I think one of the things, too, that we should point out, and Amar Doman talks about this, and so does the president, Dwayne Vanneau, we're called the BC Lions for a reason. You represent the province, and the Lions do a great job of, reaching out to communities during the course of the offseason. You see players going up to Kamloops or Kelowna or Prince George, you name it, all around the province, speaking to youth, just getting involved and engaging with fans. But to take a game to a city, that's taking it to another level, right? And seeing Touchdown Pacific, and, what's happening here, maybe down the road, whether it's Victoria, maybe there's a game in Kamloops, maybe there's a game in Kelowna, whatever the case may be, but it's a tremendous job, or I should say a tremendous way of connecting with your fans throughout the province.
One last spot I visited today, too, is Royal Athletic Park. They put all the paint down for the Lions.
Did you wear a vest?
They didn't make us.
No vest today?
Believe it or not.
But I was in the bleachers just hanging around looking at the sight lines. Oh, it's amazing. You're right behind the BC Lions bench if you're on those bleachers, or the Red Blacks bench if you're on the other side. It's going to be awesome.
It's coming together really good, yeah.
This is the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski from the Lions. We're coming to you tonight from the Bard and Banker in Victoria. What a beautiful room. It's ornate. That's what I can say. I'm looking around, looking at all the lights, the lamps, all of this. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. If you're in Victoria, you have to check it out. It's got a rich history and the best room in Victoria. They got the very best in food, drink, and music. And again, big shout out to Spencer. I'm not related to Joe Buck. He's the one of the head honchos here. Let's shift gears a little bit right now as the mayor of Victoria stops by for a couple of minutes. Their worship, Marianne Alto.
Their worship.
That's how these guys, they come from the riffraff. They don't understand formality and circumstance. your worship,
yes,
right?
thank you very much for
There
that.
you
Yes,
go.
I'll take your worship once in a blue moon.
There
That's
you
true.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot nicer than some
You know,
of your political
but I'm not
opponents,
here
right?
tonight just as your worship. I'm actually here as a 20-year season ticket fan. And so when Mr. Doman approached us last fall, it took him about the first 4 words of the sentence before we said yes, absolutely yes. I will take exception for the fact that I don't think this needs to go to Kamloops. It should just stay in Victoria. That's right. It is a BC team for sure, but there's a huge number of people from the island who regularly go over to Vancouver to see the Lions play. Massive numbers of season ticket holders and folks who just go over one game at a time. And it's because it is a game and a team that is appealing to everybody. And you can see from the turnout just from this first half day how much excitement there is here in the city. It's going to be even better tomorrow, and the game itself sold out, as I think you know, in 48 minutes. And so it's going to be a bit packed at RIP. We usually only have about 4,000 seats, but now we've got 14,000 plus. So it's going to be a really exciting afternoon, and there's no doubt whatsoever it's going to end up in a win. My God, it's the Red Blacks. Come on.
Ottawa. And it's not the first time you've gone to battle with Ottawa, right?
No, and it won't be the last. And I've been building this for a long time now as Capital versus Capital. So we might have a little side bet on the side between the two mayors, maybe just a little bit quiet side bet here. But yeah, it's going to be an awesome game. We're hoping to see both quarterbacks. We're so absolutely lucky to have 2 amazing guys behind the ball. And of course, we like to claim Nathan because he did live here for the first year of his life, and so we always claim those people. But both of them are just outstanding, and we can't wait for a fantastic game.
Well, Nathan's great-grandmother is going to be at the game tomorrow.
Heard that.
Still lives here. She came to, I think it was our home opener or one of the first games in 2022, and she was enjoying that. Wanted to ask you, both Nick and I, again, were down at the festival. Moj was down there doing some other shows along the Lions Audio Network. Look out for those. But you were part of the opening ceremonies.
Yep.
How exciting was that?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, we had Dwayne was there, as you mentioned, and Randy Ambrosi from the CFL as the head honcho. We had the Minister of Sport there provincially as well, and so this was just so great to see so many people down there anticipating a great couple of days, being super excited. A lot of really knowledgeable football fans here in Victoria. As you can talk about, the huge numbers that have been out just in a few events so far, and it's just going to keep rolling.
Mayor Alto, let's get into the game Saturday. I know you'd like to mention that you've come to Vancouver for all the season openers, but
yes.
Who are some of the players that you're most excited to see in your home city?
Well, actually, one of the players that really came out when we announced this last fall, and who's been so great, of course, is our kicker. And I mean, I'm from the era I hate to age myself, but I'm from the era where it was all about Louis Pasaglia. And now seeing all of the different people who are coming forward is just a tremendous change. And I'm blanking on our kicker's name.
Sean White.
Yeah. My God.
White
how
Rock.
embarrassing that is? He even gave me a jersey for my son, right? And so he signed it off last year. And I mean, Sean's so cool because in the off season, I don't know if people know, he's actually a wilderness firefighter. And so we've had all sorts of conversation about him, about the future after he sets every record that there is. But the addition, I think yesterday or today, of Mathieu Betts coming. Yeah. Oh my God, yes. What a tremendous difference that's going to make, and how fantastic he's going to add to our whole scheme. Too many to name. Obviously, particularly interested in the quarterbacks, but also interested in some of the defensive players as well. We I think, in the last few games, that's so great, right? But the defense has kept us in the games, always, as always. And I think we had a little bit more offense this weekend. We'll be fine.
All right. We've talked a lot of football here. You've been impressive. Last one before we let you go. What does this mean to the city of Victoria having this game here? We've talked about what it meant to the Lions and reaching out to the province, but from Victoria's perspective, what does it mean having a game here?
Well, it's incredible, actually. I mean, just like any special event, but this particular special event is so tied to British Columbia, the capital city. The fact that we're here, we're getting national exposure for this event across, TSN and all of the different networks that are going to be broadcasting. And this really allows people to see that Victoria as a capital city is not just beautiful for itself, but has the ability to put on big events. This isn't the only one that we've done, but certainly it's one that showcases what's possible. We are doing some renovations to Royal Athletic Park in the long term. So we anticipate that there's lots more stuff coming, and we're really going to put on a fabulous show so people can see across the country not just what a great city we have, but what a great sports city it is, and how important sports is to community building. So we're just thrilled that the Lions are here. I always say today it's exciting for me. It's the mayor, but also exciting as a fan. It's my home team, and it's in my hometown, so just love it.
Well, we thank you for stopping by, Your Worship. Appreciate your effort to join us here tonight. Enjoy the festivities.
Oh, I will.
And
this is great here. Isn't it awesome?
We'll chat with you after the show.
You betcha.
All right.
There you go. Her Worship, Marianne Alto, the mayor of Victoria. All right, before we get to Coach, very quickly, there is a game on Saturday against the Ottawa Red Blacks fellows. BC lost in Ottawa by a score of 34-27. They get the rematch at Royal Athletic Park on Saturday. And just from your perspective, Matt and Nick, what are some of the storylines, some of the narratives heading into this one for you guys?
Well, I think we're going to hit on it with our next guest, Rick Campbell, but Matthew Betts and that whole process, he is here as of about dinner time this evening, is at the hotel, and I've noticed you've been at practice, the mood is good. You wouldn't know there's 5 losses in a row, and it's kind of the old cliche, how hard is it to go up against a team 2 weeks in a row, but I really think this team is embracing this unique set of circumstances, Nick, and I think you're on the same page.
100%. It's obviously a big game for Nathan Rourke, playing in the city he was born in. Obviously moved to Ontario for his childhood, but it's still a big deal for Nathan to come back. I'm looking to see how Nathan Rourke in this offense ascends too, right? We saw in the first quarter last week, Justin McInnes at 79 yards in the first quarter. He's someone who's still leading the league in receiving.
Closing in on 1,000.
Yeah, and also is Alex Hollins, and to see how Hollins can get going here too down the stretch. So looking forward to see the offense, how they scheme against the rematch. There's a lot of interesting storylines.
All right, we will get into some of those storylines with our next guest. He is the head coach of the BC Lions, Rick Campbell. Before we get to break, got to tell you again, we're coming to you from the Bard and Banker in Victoria. This, of course, all part of the festivities here in our provincial capital throughout the course of the week. And a big thank you to Spencer Buck and his staff. Haley, our server, doing a great job. And this room here at the Bard and Banker is absolutely tremendous. Like I said, ornate. That's probably the best way to describe it. A big shout out to Brent Doby from Molson Coors for being one of the people organizing this event here tonight. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, the head coach of your BC Lions, Rick Campbell, joining us. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
Now, back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW. It's the Moj, as the man said. Bob Marjanovic along with Matt Baker and Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media content team. We are coming to you tonight from Victoria. We're at the Bard and Banker, which is an absolutely gorgeous pub here in Victoria. Has a great history, and it is the best room in Victoria. They have the very best in food, drink, and music, and they will look after you. Spencer Buck and his staff will do a tremendous job. All right, of course, the festivities continue here in Victoria with Touchdown Pacific. Whole bunch of stuff going on during the course of the week, but remember, there is a game on Saturday. The BC Lions entertain the Ottawa Red Blacks, and our next guest will talk a little bit about that in this week in particular. He is the general manager and head coach of your BC Lions, Mr. Rick Campbell. Rick, thanks for making time.
It's good to be here. You're right. The vibe is legit, as they say, and it's a good place to be.
Well, we'll get into the vibe in a second, but I guess the news of the day is that Matthew Betts has arrived in Victoria. He landed here a few hours ago. He will be at practice tomorrow. How quickly did all of that develop, getting Matthew on board?
That's been crazy, the whole Nathan thing and him, just how fast that whole thing goes down. It's really great to see how much these guys want to be back with the BC Lions and be with their teammates again. And obviously we love to have him back, and look forward to having him in the lineup.
I know Neil McAvoy can probably speak to this as well, but when the transaction happens, obviously Ryan Rigmaid and everybody paying attention to the NFL cuts and who might become available, but once that happens and he clears waivers, like, just how quickly does that come together?
It goes fast. Yeah, I mean, we kind of do our homework ahead of time, so when something does come up that, we're ready to go. And happened twice this year. But, yeah, no, it goes down really fast. And, credit to him, credit to Nathan, those guys that can come back that quickly and get right back into the lineup. And like I said, he's excited, Matthew's excited, and his teammates are excited. We're all excited to have him back.
So you're saying basically when you look at these scenarios maybe 2 or 3 months ago and you say, okay, if he gets released or if he gets cut, how do we go about getting him on the roster? So you basically plan these scenarios out before they even occur then.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's happening, but there's not. It's not a random accident, put it that way. That things happen quickly, but that's the job in football, from our personnel department to our coaches to Neil and me. Is that we're, it's a everyday thing where you got to stay on top of things and what's happening in the football world, and it's like I said, good to have him back.
I know the last 2 weeks, too, with a guy like Nathan Rourke, there's been a lot of talk about how he's had to kind of forget all these NFL playbooks, and it's not easy to even come back and learn a new playbook or whatever else Jordan Maximic's added in his last 2 years. But for a guy like Matthew Betts, is it as simple as go get quarterback, or is there more stuff you have to kind of get him back up to speed with for this weekend and the next if he's ready to go?
Well, that's a little oversimplifying it, but I like that attitude of go get the quarterback. That's what you're doing as a D lineman. He does have to learn some things, but he'll pick it up quickly. And I said to John Bowman, I said the number one thing you got to do is make sure he lines up a yard off the ball again, and gets used to that. But the thing about the situation with Nathan and with Betts is that they're going to be in tip-top shape. They've been playing football the last few weeks, so it's not like a guy just coming off the street and you don't know if he's been playing and all that stuff. So being ready to go physically is not a challenge. And then obviously it helps they were both with us. So we're re-signing guys that were BC Lions. It's not a person that's trying to integrate into something they know nothing about. But yeah, there's still you got to learn some plays and learn what's going on, but he'll be ready to go.
Hey, seeing how the band's getting back together, well, who's next? Burnham? Is he going to come out of retirement?
I don't know. You'd have to talk him into that one. I haven't talked to Brian lately, but no, it's like I said, it's a credit to our whole organization and you guys and everybody that those guys want to come back to be BC Lions, because it's we're trying to create a family atmosphere where people want to be a part of it, and we're lucky to have those guys back.
I'm just saying, Manny Arsenault was hanging around the facility a few weeks ago. I'm just saying.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Our guest is Lions head coach and GM Rick Campbell. We are coming to you from the Bard & Banker. This, of course, is BC Lions on Tap. Coach, this week, the festivities here in Victoria, just your thoughts on everything that's happened thus far.
Pretty awesome. When I said the vibe is good, I mean that the vibe is good. So it's really good for our players to get out and interact. So we're still doing all the normal things we do, as far as we had what we call our day 3 practice today. We're going to do our meetings and walkthrough tomorrow like we normally do. But we're not going to pretend like the rest doesn't exist, because I think it's good for our players to interact with the fans and see people. And this will be something that, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they'll say, oh yeah, the game we played in Victoria, how great it was, and you'll remember things like this. So I'm all for it from the players' point of view and from the fans' point of view.
So, given your history, you've coached in Edmonton and Calgary, 1 year in Winnipeg. So
little known fact. Yeah. Everyone forgets about that one.
2009, right?
Hey, I'd want to forget about it too.
yeah, exactly. So the Labor Day tradition is something you're no stranger to. To have a chance to be a part of that, that's another little element to this. As it is, we are kicking off OK Tire Labor Day weekend in the CFL. So how special is that, the tradition of Labor Day?
Totally in the CFL. It's a big thing. So all those rivalries, but this is a whole different thing on that. We're traveling over here to the island, and I know the term mini Grey Cup, all that stuff, as far as just the stuff that happens outside of the game with the festivities and everything that's going on. So I'm totally for it. Sometimes people I want to be in the routine. I want to do the same thing all the time. I'm not down with that. I'm for creating memories and creating different situations. And I think we're all, as far as players and coaches and the football team itself, we're better off for being here this week.
So I'm not going to say that cliche about the season starting on Labor Day and all that, but I'm looking at the West standings in front of me. All 5 teams are within 2 wins of each other. We've talked about all year that this parity, anybody can beat anybody. The messaging in the room is that we have the right people, the right coaches and all that. What are some things this week that you've seen that proves to that point that we got the right people to get out of this funk.
Yeah, when people get in a funk, sometimes people blame each other, or they pout, or they run for cover, so to speak, and our guys don't do that. I'm not surprised. And the same thing when we were winning 5 in a row. It wasn't like we had won the Grey Cup. So we got to this point in a very unorthodox way, as we won 5 in a row, which is hard to do, and we lost 5 in a row, which is actually hard to do too. But you're exactly right as far as it's all there for the taking. The West is going to get itself sorted out, and we need to do our part to come to work and do our thing, and our guys have been doing that. And we're going to keep going, and I wouldn't bet against us.
Coach, it's interesting. We were talking about Victoria and this week. How tough is it to continue to focus on the task at hand, which is the game? Because this is out of the routine, right? So it could pose to be a distraction, but you've almost come to the turnaround and said, let's embrace this rather than look at it as a distraction.
Yeah, I've been around coaches when I was younger that, some coaches took the idea that, lock yourself in your room and pretend nothing's going on, and, don't do anything. And obviously the other extreme is not good either, of, be out all night. But at the same time, our guys should enjoy this, should embrace it, should interact with the fans, do all those things, and at the same time focus on the task at hand. And in my experience, when you strike that balance and thread the needle of being able to do 2 things at one time, I think it works out better.
Well, I think, this has the opportunity to maybe even rejuvenate some guys. I mean, yeah, okay, you've lost 5 games in a row. If you're back at Surrey and going through that routine, I don't want to say it's a drudgery, but it's a bit of a challenge. You come out here, it's different. You're interacting with fans, and it almost kind of like just gives guys a different look and maybe almost rejuvenates them in a sense, interacting with the fans and being somewhere different.
Yeah, I think it does, regardless of a losing streak or not, that you're it's a good reminder of how important football is to people and the team and all those things. I always tell our guys, it's, you got to have that balance of it. We're not doing the most important thing in the world, but you got to act like it is. So there's that perspective to it. But it's totally refreshing to be out here, that knowing people still have our backs. We're all in this together, and just really happy to be here.
I know I asked you this question earlier this week, and maybe we'll expand on it, but for my column for Black Press, what was the biggest challenge you faced during this time? And you said just trying to maintain guys' confidence, right? And just trying to make sure that these guys still feel good about the group and still feel confident about the group.
Yeah, so there's the urgency level is not an issue, as people want to win in the worst way. But yeah, confidence is a tricky thing in life, regardless, not just football, but with whatever it is. And when you're feeling good and things are going well, that momentum seems to build and carry on. And when you have a setback, you gotta find a way to be resilient and bounce back. And that's where we're at that stage right now, where we need to be resilient and bounce back.
As a coach, you see this all the time, but I mean, man, confidence can be such a fickle thing. It can be so fleeting. I mean, you can have a team that is on a roll, and then, a month later, it's a totally different. You know where I'm going with the vibe, even from the fans' perspective.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that could just turn around. You have the same group of individuals, and for whatever reason, that confidence takes a couple of hits, and all of a sudden now you're seeing L's instead of W's.
Yeah. We talk about momentum, and confidence are things that you can steer in a direction. Sometimes you don't have total control over it, but by little acts you do every day of whatever goal you're trying to accomplish in life, is that if you start stacking little positives, that things go in the right direction, and we're trying to make sure that we're checking those little boxes to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a position where we can rebound.
All right, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, more with Lions head coach Rick Campbell. Again, we're coming to you from the Bard and Banker in Victoria. Absolutely gorgeous room, and a big shout out to Brent Doby from Molson Coors, being one of the people that set this up, and of course the great staff here from the Barden Banker, and a big shout out to Spencer Buck and his crew. On the other side, we'll take a look at the Ottawa Red Blacks, the upcoming matchup for the Lions this Saturday at Royal Athletic Park in Victoria. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
Now back to more of Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light. Once again, here are Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski, and Bob the Moj Marjanovic.
This is BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW tonight, emanating from the Barden Banker in Victoria. I, for one, have not been to Victoria in a long time, and I forgot just how beautiful this city is, and this place here is the jewel of all the pubs in Victoria, the Barden Banker, rich history, beautiful room. Just like I said earlier, it's ornate. It's just a beautiful setting, and the very best in food, drink, and music. And a big shout out to Spencer and his staff here. Of course, it's the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, along with Matt Baker, Nick Kowalski from the Lions social media content team. Head coach Rick Campbell, head coach GM Rick Campbell is our guest as we set up the game against the Ottawa Red Blacks on Saturday. Coach, rematch. Is it a situation where you have an advantage going up against the team from the week before? How do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, you know each other pretty well. So we hadn't seen these guys this year, but it's one. I think it's our only back-to-back, I think, of the whole season. So
correct. Yep.
But it's an advantage or a disadvantage for both teams if you look at it that way. But yeah, we have a pretty good idea what they're like and what we're like. But it's the trick about the back-to-backs is you got to treat it like a new game. The last game's done, whether you won or whether you lost, and you got to move on to the next one. And obviously it's a totally different environment. It's literally across the country from the last game, so it won't feel like a typical back-to-back, I don't think.
You've said over and over again how tight everyone is, and we've talked about the standings, but a lot of these games come down to those plays, 5 or 6 plays late in the fourth quarter. Does it seem like Ottawa's been making a lot of those?
Yep.
Case in point last week, and that's a big reason for their 7-2-1 record?
Totally. They have 3 walk-off field goals for wins.
Yep.
They also have a walk-off field goal for a tie. Our game last week came down to the last series of the game. So I know I sound like a boring coach when I talk about all this parity and stuff, but that's the name of the game. It's not just in the CFL. It's really pro sports in general, and it's whether you can find ways to make plays to win games, and all of a sudden you're feeling really good about yourself and your record looks a lot better. So the truth is usually somewhere in the middle, so you want to try to solve problems that can fix get you on the right side of the scoreboard, and that's what we're trying to do.
It's crazy you're talking about Ottawa having 3 walk-off field goals for wins, and the first thing that came to my mind, Edmonton has 3 walk-off field goals for losses.
Yeah.
You can almost flip those 2 records around in terms of how those teams have played.
So that's the part of coaching about being good on the coaching point of view, is being able to fix things that are wrong, but don't mess with things that are right. And you, like you said, all of a sudden you can flip things around and think you have way more problems than you do, or vice versa. So, you gotta keep going and get on the right side of the scoreboard.
I know I gave you a Ron Lancaster quote earlier this week, and you just kind of said, "Yeah, you're right." And Ron Lancaster used to say, "You're never as good as you think you are when you're winning, and you're never as bad as you think you are when you're losing."
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, the Ottawa game last week is, we were ahead for a good chunk of the game, and we had our chances to make plays to do it, and we didn't. And so there's no question we can beat these guys, but we'll have to play well to do it.
William Stanback has amped things up the last few weeks. I think he's averaging something like 6.3 yards a carry, 95 yards a game the last 3 weeks. Is it safe to say that he's done everything asked of him and proven a big reason why the team went out and got him when he became available?
Yeah, he's been excellent. Very good football player, good teammate, all those things. And it's kind of funny when you think about us the last 3 years. It was always about how well we could throw the ball, but we couldn't run it well enough. And then we kind of got in a mode where we've reversed that. We're doing the hard stuff well, but not doing the fun stuff well, which is making big plays and all that. So That's where my hope comes from, is that we're doing some hard stuff really well. We're doing some good stuff running the ball, good stuff on special teams, things like that. And now when you add in making some big plays on offense and defense, all of a sudden, things can look a lot better.
Coach, I can't help but watch last week, two guys that have really elevated their games, elevated their roles too, is both in the linebacker core. Ryder Varga, Ace Ely, they have 13 combined tackles. They combined for a turnover last week. I know the absence of Ben Haladek's a reason why a guy like Ace has got the start last week, but in your mind, and Coach Brown's mind, and Coach Phillips' minds, what has allowed Ryder to earn more snaps, and then Ace, because Ace had to win a spot out of camp too, so you guys obviously like something with Ace too, right?
Yeah, first off, Ryder coming into camp, we thought he was going to compete to be a starter, and he had mono, and literally missed basically all of training camp, which kind of derailed that. But no, we looked at him as a potential starter coming into the year, and he's a good football player, hands down. Ace is a guy that's grown since we've got him, and he's physical. They have a very physical running back, and they had some big-time collision tackles where he is Ace is a real deal guy. So good on them. Never want to see people injured, but the one thing you do find out when people do get injured is you find out about your depth, regardless of what position that is. So. Good on those guys for stepping up, and it'll just make us better in the long run.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, a lot of times, training camp, there's a lot of bodies and some guy, quote unquote, names on a depth chart. But, and that's why you bring all those guys, right? And a guy like Ace and is just a prime example.
Totally. And that's part of the thing of coaching, is you want to give people a chance, and you want to give people time, and you want to try to identify the good players so that you don't miss out on people.
I think one of the things, sorry to interject, Matt, but one of the things when you talk about depth, and you look at successful teams, sometimes they're going to have to rely on a role player to make a big play in a game. It's not going to be one of their core guys, one of their star guys. So you're going to need maybe a backup linebacker, a backup running back, or a backup receiver to make a big play for you. So when I look at those players, when they do step into those situations and play well, you ask yourself the question, well, why were they prepared? Well, number one, the coaches keep them prepared. But I think the other big thing, too, is when you have that culture on your team and you have that leadership core that includes everyone when they have an event, when they go for dinner, or makes those guys feel like they're part of the team, that their role is important. Even though you're a backup, your role is important. We're going to need you at some point. And when you do that, when you have that inclusion, that's when those guys invest. And that's when those guys invest to the point where they're prepared to play. Because when you have these cliques on these teams, or cliques, pardon me, and those guys feel like they're ostracized or not on the team, when they do step in, very rarely are they ready to go because they don't feel like they've been part of it all year long.
Yeah, no, our guys do a good job of including everybody, and we tell guys at the very beginning of the year, the practice roster guys, you don't know when your number is going to be called, so keep prepared and ready to go. And we only have, I would say, 2 or 3 people probably from the very beginning of the year that haven't played for us. Everybody else has had a chance to play and contribute, and that's a credit to all the players, like you said, of making everybody feel a part of it and make them feel that they need to be ready to go.
Back, while we're talking about defense, a big storyline last week. Ottawa was good at sustaining drives. I think they were something like 68% on second down, 450 of net offense. What's been the key messaging as far as the defense is concerned to get that right?
Yeah, we need to be more consistent. We played some really good games. The Winnipeg games are an example, especially if you look at the first half of those games. Those were defensive battles where we were playing very well on defense, but we weren't scoring. And then you flip to this Ottawa game where both offenses are having success. But I think we just need to be more consistent on how we play, and we're striving for that. I don't think we found all the answers of who should be where and all that, but we're going to continue to keep working and find out what the best mix is and go from there.
I think one of the other points when you talk about these players growing and everybody being back and all that, I was listening to Nathan talk about this in his post game or media session this week, where in 2022 there was Brian Burnham was a leader, Dominique Grimes was a leader, and Keon Hatcher and Alex Hollins were up and coming. They were in their first full kind of CFL go around, but now they're leaders in this room, and that's another aspect too, right? That you see guys like Keon. It's just kind of a revolving circle where you obviously need leaders, but it's rewarding seeing guys that stick around ultimately hit those roles too, like Keon, Alex, and all those guys. Yeah.
Totally, and if you want to be a successful team that competes year in and year out, you have to have a personnel department that finds players, and you need to find your own American players and draft good Canadian players and develop those guys, because you're going to lose some guys to the salary cap or free agency or things like that. And so those two guys you're talking about, Hatcher and Hollins, are prime examples of practice roster guys that we knew could be really good players, and we just needed to keep working with them. And then when they finally get their opportunity, it's actually not surprising to us coaches that have been around them.
And the other thing too, I imagine, coach, is like when you have those players and they see, say, a Hatcher learns from a Burnham.
Yeah.
The work ethic that he puts in now, Hatcher becomes one of those leaders when Burnham's gone. And now you have younger receivers, maybe an Ezekiel Tidy or whoever, or Ravenel or Berryhill, that looks at Hatcher and says, that's the level that I got to get at in terms of my preparation and my work ethic. And then who knows, maybe 5 years from now, it's Berryhill who's teaching a young receiver what it means to be a BC Lion.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, is that if you have a culture, and that goes with continuity too, is there's always going to be changes every year, like I said, because of free agency and salary caps and all those things. But if you can keep a core group of guys together that kind of show people the way, you always have that thread where people can keep passing it on to the next guy.
Rick Campbell is our guest for a couple more minutes, the head coach and GM of the BC Lions, as they get set to take on the Ottawa Redblacks at Royal Athletic Park Saturday at 4 o'clock. Of course, you'll be able to hear that game. 3 p.m. kickoff on CKNW, or 980 CKNW, 3 o'clock pregame on 980 CKNW, 4 o'clock kickoff on the Big 98. Before we let you go, what are some of the questions you want to see answered from your team come Saturday?
I want us to be physical on defense, for us to play well down the stretch, as we're going to have to bring a physicality to the game. We're gonna play some tough running backs. Need to tackle well. Need to check some basic boxes of hustling to the ball, doing all those things that are going to correct things and make things right. We need to get back to making some big plays on offense. Like I said, we've been doing a lot of the hard work on offense of being able to run the ball effectively, which is very important, and we need to continue to do that. But in a 3-down league, you need to be able to have some explosive plays. Proud of our special teams. We do a whole bunch of really good things on special teams. The one thing I think we want to make happen on special teams is the big play, a blocked kick, return for a touchdown. So we're doing a lot of the hard work that's not the Sports Center highlight reel stuff, but if we can mix in a couple of the Sports Center things in with the hard work, then I think we'll be on the right side of the scoreboard. Well,
Coach, we want to thank you for stopping by tonight. Best of luck against the Red Blacks on Ottawa. Hopefully cap off this week here in Victoria with a W.
Thank you very much.
That is the head coach and GM of your BC Lions, Mr. Rick Campbell. Before we get to break, Matt Baker, we've got to talk about the BC Lions watch party.
Yes.
We've got all ticket holders will be entered to win a Nathan Rourke game jersey here tonight, right?
Yeah, so the watch party at Central Park, about a block away from the venue. You can take in the game on the big screen. We'll have some uproar dancers there, all kinds of activations. And yes, everyone with a ticket will be entered to win the grand prize, like you say, of Nathan Rourke.
Are we giving away some here tonight?
We've got tickets to the watch party. So anyone in here listening to On Tap at the Barden Banker, come by and see us.
Matt Baker trivia. Tell us what high school Matt Baker went to, and
yes,
you get 2 tickets to the BC Lions watch party. How's that sound?
Come up and see us. We're going to be here for a while after this is recording, and you want to go to the watch party and try to be entered to win a cool prize? There's your trivia.
All right, there you go. So watch party tickets will be given away here tonight at some point. All right, speaking of trivia, we'll take a quick break. On the other side, Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia. You're listening to BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW.
This is Lions on Tap, presented by Coors Light, the chill choice and official beer of the BC Lions. Now it's time for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
Before we get to Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia, again, a reminder, we're coming to you from the Bard and Banker in Victoria tonight, a special edition of BC Lions on Tap on 980 CKNW, of course, part of the Touchdown Pacific Festival here in our provincial capital. And again, big thank you to Spencer and the crew here, Haley, our waitress, and everyone else. This is a great room. I'll tell you, if you've never been to Victoria, you got to come to the Bard and Banker and check it out. It's Matt Baker, along with Nick Kowalski, yours truly, the Moj, Bob Marjanovic, as we get set for Nick Kowalski's world-famous trivia.
And it's all about the island, or rather, the CFL touchdown series. This is a Touchdown Pacific game. There's obviously, the reason is it was Touchdown Atlantic before. So we're gonna test your guys' knowledge about the islands. Yeah, that's definitely not an island.
No, but they've been involved in every Touchdown Atlantic game, so
that'll help you out if you know that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we're going to get you guys warmed up, though, here first. Name me the 3 players on the BC Lions roster who were born on an island.
Nathan Rourke.
1.
Kieran Poisson.
And Jonah
Incorrect.
Tavai.
Kieran Poisson was born in Vancouver. Jonah Tavai was born in California. You're on the right track, though. Falaniko was 1. He was born in Samoa. And then we got one more. He's a prominent name.
Sione Tuhema.
Nope. He's on offense. Another hint.
On an island.
Yeah.
Vancouver Island.
He immigrated to Canada.
Javon Catoy.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
St. Vincent before going to Calgary.
Yep.
There you go. I'm going to go this one second because I'm not sure how long it's going to take you. I'm going to have to probably provide you guys a little hints. Again, your Saskatchewan knowledge is going to help.
Saskatchewan.
But if all holds true, on Saturday, 12 players will have played in a Touchdown Atlantic and Touchdown Pacific game. Name me these 12
Justin
players.
McInnes.
There's 1.
William Standback.
There's 2.
Yep.
Keep going, Bakes.
Ooh, Bolacumbo.
There's 3.
All right.
You got the right team.
We got 9 more.
Montreal.
You got to think teams.
Slugger.
Right? Slugger is 4. Slugger
Vernon
was
Adams Jr.
5. Slugger was the left tackle in 2019.
Yep.
So there you go. You got 5. Almost halfway there.
Pete Robertson.
Well, he's not playing on Saturday.
Oh,
so
okay.
he doesn't count. You're missing one Montreal guy.
Oh, man.
New addition. I'll give a hint there. Actually, you're missing 2 Montreal guys.
Missing 2 Montreal guys, really?
One Montreal guy I was surprised. You got to think. So there was a game in 2013 that might give it away.
Sean White
played it.
So we're halfway there.
It's the kicker.
I actually there's a so Red Blacks count too, by the way. I'll throw that in there.
So Red Blacks who would have played.
You're missing 1 Lion. He's new to the team this season. You're on the right track with Montreal.
Okay.
There's another hint. I'll get
thinking free agent additions here.
Yeah, you're right on the right track.
Offense or defense?
We'll go defense. Well, he is defense.
Defense. Okay.
You're on the right track, Baker, with that.
Deontay Evans.
Deontay Evans. There you go.
I was just about to say Deontay.
So we got some Red Blacks on here too. I'll give some hints. One is 2013. I actually had to fact check with this player because I couldn't confirm if he dressed or not, but he did dress in this game. Because teams dress a couple of these guys in case of emergencies. That's kind of a hint.
Kicker.
Nope.
Nigel Romick.
That's a good pull, but it's not.
No.
It's incorrect. We
gotta get Rick back here. He would know. Yeah.
Cleon Lang. There's one. Cleon Lang played for the Argos in 2019.
Okay. And there's one more on Ottawa.
There's a couple on Ottawa. So a couple DBs.
Darius Pickett.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Okay.
Ottawa players who are playing this weekend that played in Touchdown.
Think Riders. That's my hint. You're missing
We're
one.
bringing Coach back here. We're calling it audible.
I got Cleon Lang without even knowing what the question was.
Cleon Lang is correct. So, who are the players? Who are the players who will have played in a Touchdown Atlantic and Touchdown Pacific game? We're missing a couple of Red Blacks. We're missing 4 Red Blacks.
4 Red Blacks.
I'll give the hint.
Well, I know the Red Blacks have never played in the Atlantic,
but
so
these players have played
for someone else.
So one did it for Montreal. Now he's on the Red Blacks.
Hunter?
No, he's on defense.
Yeah.
I'll be impressed if you guys pull this name.
Not Money Hunter.
He's Canadian.
Give us initials.
TC.
TC.
You'll know this name when you hear it. Defensive back. I'll move on. It's Ty Cranston.
Can we back this up? I said a Darius Pickett. Was he not an Argonaut last year? They played in Touchdown Atlantic.
Pickett's correct, actually. Yeah, you're right.
So I knew I had it.
There we go. Okay, there we go. We're still missing a couple
I
more.
threw the challenge
up.
flag.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. I don't
Good
think you
use of the
guys
challenge
will
flag,
get this. You'll know the name, obviously. But Jeremiah Mazzoli played in the Hamilton-Montreal touchdown Atlantic game in 2013. And the other guys are missing are Damon Webb, played for the Riders against the Argos, and then Darius Bladdock, offensive lineman, played for the Argos. So
We
those
did
are the guys
pretty
who are
good
missing.
there, though.
That's not bad.
Have you guys ever heard of the term CFL nerd?
I would have no idea who that is. Yeah, I would have no idea.
Wow.
How about this? How about this? You guys were on the right track here. Name me the 3 teams that have never played in a touchdown CFL touchdown game.
Calgary.
Calgary has.
No, Calgary has. I'm probably good at this because I've never been a part of it.
As of right now. As of right
BC,
now.
BC.
Ottawa.
BC.
Yeah, and who's the other team? There's
Ottawa,
one-
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. It's
BC?
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Winnipeg
And
is
BC,
not.
yeah.
Can you guys? I don't know why I did this. I had some free time apparently. But can you guys?
Apparently, yeah.
Can you guys name me? I'll give you some options here. Who has the most passing yards in the CFL touchdown games? I got Vernon Adams Jr., Henry Burris, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, or Mason Fine. These are actually the top 4.
McLeod Bethel-Thompson.
What do you
Vernon
think of
Adams.
here? Vernon Adams. Okay, we'll give a point to Moj. It's McLeod.
Okay.
Thank you.
I did rushing yards too. Then these are the top 4 names.
Andrew Harris.
I'll give you the top 4 names. They're kind of surprising. John Cornish, Avon Coburn, Jamal Morrow, and Calvin McCarty. These are actually the top 4.
Jamal Morrow.
Cornish, Coburn. It's Jamal Morrow. 2-0 Moj.
2-0 Moj.
Last
There you
question here. Moj wins already, but we'll go last question. I did receiving yards too. These are the top 4. S.J. Green, Sean Bain, Marcus Thigpen, and Deron Carter.
go. Deron Carter.
What do you got, Moj?
Who are the 4 again?
S.J. Green, Sean Bain, Marcus Thigpen, and Deron
Marcus
Carter.
Thigpen. I'm going
I'm
on.
going to go
Taking a reach.
Thigpen when he played for Hamilton.
Thigpen.
Thigpen at 139. It's not the answer. It's S.J. Green. Because S.J. Green played in 2 of these. So
Montreal.
S.J. Green's the answer. So, Moj, your prize, you get an ice cold Coors Light. Here you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
For Great
Coach.
Radio.
The mountains are blue. There you go.
CFL nerd. I love that. That was awesome.
take
All
it.
right, we're going to wrap things up here at the Bard and Banker. And again, a big shout out to the whole staff here. And again, a big shout out to Spencer Buck and his crew, and of course Brent Doby from Molson Coors here in Victoria for their hospitality. It's been absolutely amazing. Again, we do have tickets to give away to the BC Lions watch party, Matt Baker. We're going to do that tonight, correct?
Yes, we got several. Come see us. I think you had the trivia question, the high school I went to.
the high school that Matt Baker was a all-star guard at. Figure it out. We're not talking football either.
The voting system got screwed up that year.
So,
Yeah.
again, we do
Point
have tickets to the BC Lions watch party. And, again, the game will take place 4 o'clock on Saturday at Royal Athletic Park. Pre-game show, 3 p.m. on 980 CKNW. So looking forward to it. And, man, what a week it's been, Matt. It's been a lot of fun thus far.
Yeah.
And hopefully it culminates with a W come Saturday.
Yeah, and we talked about it off the top. Now that we're here and we're at this great establishment, seeing some familiar Lions fans from home on the mainland and who live here in Victoria. And that's been evident since we announced this, Bob. Victoria fans are jacked for it, as they should be.
Nick, you've got some great video that's up just tonight. The Lions social media content team, Matthew Betts, arriving in Victoria, meeting his teammates in the hotel. So some great coverage with you guys.
Shout out
correct?
to Liam Thompson for that one. That a boy.
Lot to come too. We got the walkthrough. We've given Ronald Kent a little digi camera, so he's been kind of vlogging around this week. So excited to see what that content holds. And then the big game on Saturday. We're gonna all boots on the ground, all hands on deck.
And people find all that content
at BC Lions on social media, and then
YouTube.
BC.
As well.
I was gonna plug YouTube in a second. YouTube, we're close to 7,000 subscribers. We need to hit that.
All right, great stuff. Okay, that is a wrap for us tonight from the Bard and Banker in Victoria. Again, a big shout out to everybody involved with this whole production. Mike Whittingham behind the scenes doing a tremendous job as usual. We'll be back tomorrow with more coverage and, of course, the game on Saturday. You know what I'm going to tell you before we get out of here? Do what you got to do. Live life to its fullest. Just do us a favor. Be safe.